school of thought called society. Society says the youth are too young to know about spirituality, too young to know about the Holy Spirit and intimacy. Society says the youth are too young to go for camp meeting, to learn Christian virtues that improves vitality. Society says the youth are too young to serve the Lord and too young to cause an impact even in the society. Yet, same society says the youth are not too young to explore their sexuality, watch pornography with all attention as if it is Christ's agony. Oh, what a pity, dear Lord. Have mercy. But if you are a youth, you listen to God and not society. You live to please God and not all the trends on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and all the others, etc. Well, society says what society says, and I say what I say, that the youth are not too young. So you are not too young. You are not too young to know and live for God. You are not too young to speak in tongues, to have an intimacy with the Holy Spirit. You are not too young to share your faith through evangelism, and you are not too young to take your sphere of influence. You are not too young to impact your generation with your godly influence. You are not too young to enter leadership, so don't limit yourself to just relationship. You are not too young to be a pastor. You are not too young to own your legitimate business. You are not too young to attain higher academic heights. Be a professor, doctor, lawyer, politician. Take all the accolades. I say, you are not too young. And so please acknowledge that to be a youth is a privilege. A privilege that must be guided by full knowledge of what God wants us to accomplish within this period, and that's on period. This is not a time for you to give your body and your heart to Odogu, because after he's done with you, he's going to tie it into Duku and play it like Ludu till you cry and say, oh, I've not forgotten about you, Kobe, but I'm sorry. This is not the time to play ladies like a hobby. It is time for you to serve God and serve Him right, to cause an impact in your world and to seek God's face day and night. Joseph was just like a youth, like you and I. But look at how he moved from the pits to the throne. Because he knew that he wasn't an ordinary youth, he stood his ground. And by faith and integrity, his influence was shown. Using his gift of interpretation of dreams, he influenced his sphere, and by the grace of God, he changed the whole Israel's atmosphere of famine. So what are your gifts and what are your talents? What are your skills and what are your abilities? Are you using them or you are abusing them? How can you influence your sphere when your voice is so hard to hear or because of fear? Or don't you know that a man's gift makes room for him and causes him to stand before kings? Don't you know that there is this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of power may be of God and not of yours? Well, now you know that there is something greater within you that is beyond ordinary, and that the world needs to see your distinctive originality. Bro, you're not too young for God to use to change the world. Sis, you're not too young to take your sphere of influence. Time will not permit me to talk about Daniel and his friends, but even in the den and fire, they stood for God and ended up turning the whole generation of Israel's heart to God. My brother, my sister, and don't you know that before you influence your sphere, you need preparation and availability? But in your availability to serve God and humanity, do not rush like you're going on a date with rush, but remain humble, that you will become fruitful. And just like fire is good but can destroy when not in good use, So is the energy in the youth. When misused, it causes abuse. So do not refuse to submit to authority. So God can see your humility and give you the keys to influence your society. Doing this does not hinder your ability, but it keeps you to grow in humility, that God can give you the keys to influence society. And so youth, oh youth, yes, remember your Creator now while you are still young. And just like Paul said to Timothy, I stand here in this auditorium and I tell you today that do not let anyone despise your youth. For with Christ in you, you can take over your sphere of influence. And always remember, just remember that it's not how long that you live, but it is the impact. I say it is not how long you live that matter, but the impact that you make with the life that you live. And that is what really matters. Thank you.